been really weird with it today, so I'm trying it without actually loading up the 920 camera. But this way I get to at least put the fucking link out there.
Okay, hey, Nanovic, quick question. You ever see the ISIS execution videos? You can find those like very easily online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to watch those like all the time before I left.
Here we go.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Just kind of want to know how the enemy operates, you know.
I know how they operate, but I don't need to watch them killing people.
Although, what administration did that type of work that you were doing take place on? That would have been what years? What years again?
That particular video was from 2011-ish.
So that's Obama, right?
Yeah.
Obama was from 2009 to 2017, so yeah.
So that's early Obama. And so he was ordering that stuff, right? He was in charge of that.
I mean, even in Obama's last, I think Obama dropped 26.
Well, ordering and okaying are kind of different.
Yeah, he didn't have to approve every single strike we did or anything like that. Okay. We had policies and procedures in place requiring certain aspects of positive identification, which we could get through various different kinds of means to be able to get a strike done. If we could reasonably prove this person did X, Y, and Z, and he is planning, N, O, and S over here, and that kind of stuff, and he needs to be taken out because our people are at risk, we take him out.
Yeah. Yep. Huh. I didn't know that about you. That's interesting work, I guess.
Yeah, we used a lot of different methods of gaining positive identification and proving what they did. And my favorite way of helping to prove positive identification personally was through the multispectral analysis. And I don't just mean visible in IR. I mean, we're taking a spectrograph of an area and proving, look, right here, this is fucking ammonium nitrate. This is them making bombs right here.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And okay, so that's what you mean by positive analysis.
Spectral analysis.
Okay, and then, but the people, the actual people that you're killing, we
positively identified a person was who we wanted to kill before we killed them, and I cannot get any more specific than that.
Okay, but that's what I thought you meant the first time. You meant the chemicals that were in the air and that sort of thing. Yeah.
That's how we would locate. We can prove without a doubt using spectral analysis that bombs are being made at location X. Based on that, we can start gathering intelligence on who works at location X and what exactly they do.
Right. And what about after the bombs are made? Like just happened recently when there was a bunch of sarin gas released in Syria. How do you go about figuring out who's really responsible for all that shit?
It's really easy to tell where the sarin gas came from. Mm-hmm. After that requires a lot of work.
Yeah,
because
a lot of work that I cannot get into. I legally cannot say any of the ways we would go past that.
From what I've heard, there's better reason to think that it was the Syrian regime who had the sarin gas because it requires a lot of industrial capacity to create sarin gas, and the rebels just don't have that industrial capacity.
Well, I mean, I've been out of the loop since 2013, so I have no idea of any specifics of the recent operations whatsoever. But assuming it wasn't Trump giving a direct order to give it, and we actually had positive identification, I can personally trust that there was good reason and we did the right thing. If the military is what called that strike and not Trump.
Yeah, and not Steve Bannon or something. Yeah.
No, it wouldn't have been Bannon. Notice that Bannon was forced out of the National Security Council only a couple days before the strike. Also, if you know it, Bannon is an asshole. He's a racist, but he is a nationalist. He was not in favor of action in Syria. I don't think he would have ordered something like that.
Bannon shouldn't be even allowed in the White House to stand and look around.
Yeah, he shouldn't have, but the fact that he was forced out, just recently, kind of indicates that there is a shakeup in the people who are influencing Trump and his inner circle.
Yeah, I think it could possibly also be an element of Trump realizing, you know what, I actually need advisors who know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about Trump, and I will stick to this. I've said it recently, but his ego and his drive to be considered not just a great president, but the greatest president, while it is completely and totally a selfish goal, it will lead to him making what would be considered, at least in his mind, good decisions for the good of the country, because that will reflect on how he's seen, which is the most important aspect of his presidency.
Yeah, exactly. And you know that there's some veritas there, because he is so egocentric. You know, he's all about the impression that he is leaving. Yeah, the impression of how people see him.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why he's doing all of this, good stuff. Yeah, things like this ridiculous empowerment of women and fucking other meaningless, does nothing bullshit. He does all of that in public, and yet when it comes to signing the ISP information for sale bill, I'm going to call it, or
I really honestly think he has
troops into Syria, that's all done behind closed doors.
I really think he honestly has the drive that is needed to do good as a president, do good for the country. He just doesn't have the trivial knowledge required to make the decision properly.
Yeah, that he is getting a crash course on in spades.
Yeah. If he, because I mean, this is really early on. Right now, he's rushing into a lot of things. I really honestly think that even though he cannot articulate his thoughts well in public, he just straight up can't. I really think he will actually come to his senses and slow down and figure out what the fuck he's doing. And I think he's actually not going to be bad for the country eventually. I am in no way a Trump supporter. I am in no way a Republican. But I really think that it's going to dawn on him, and he's going to slow down, and he's going to do good for the country.
I hope your optimism is right, but I doubt it.
I'm just skeptical. I don't think he really he's doing this for the best of intentions.
He does. I don't think he has. Part of the problem is that his regime is, so to speak, is already incredibly corrupt in terms of what they're doing with their businesses and this kind of stuff. And I don't see it getting much better. I mean, he's just filtering money to the wealthiest and fucking the poor.
Well, that's exactly my point. Right there is his regime is corrupt, and that's part of him rushing into it. Is he's hiring this person, that he immediately thinks, I know these guys, they can do what I want them to do, and that kind of stuff. But you've seen with the Secretary of Defense just now how willing he is to just throw someone out if they're not doing it right. So eventually he's going to go through his corrupt people that aren't doing it right.
Well, but I think but I think Jim Mattis is probably the only bright spot in Trump's administration.
Hang on.
What? We have so many fucking. We have so many Russians in the White House right at this moment. There was a person in General Flynn, 20 some days, head of NSA. Yeah. Yep. Hey, he was up there. I mean, like, he was like a Russian fucking operative in our fucking NSA, in power.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing is,
Turkish. He was a Turkish operative, and
I really.
One thing about Russia, though, I mean, you can't just use Russians as a derogatory, but the espionage going on is fucking pretty goddamn ridiculous. Yeah, but when it comes to Vladimir Putin, he has some moral and ethical ideas in his head that are repulsive and disgusting, and I can't stand the guy for them. But when it comes to him being a leader, if you set those moral and ethical decisions aside, he is a great fucking leader. He knows how to fucking lead a country, even if he has bad ideas and decisions.
Well, yeah, but I mean, part of those ideas include restricting the civil rights of his people.
Exactly, and I find that repulsive and disgusting. But
how would you like your vodka, Senior Prudent?
Hang on. I think the term successful leader as opposed to good, because good implies things that I don't think you're trying to imply.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to separate it from the moral side of it, because morally he's disgusting, but as just a leader, he can do a damn good job. He knows what he's doing when it comes to leading.
He is successful as a leader in terms of.
He's been in power. How many years has he been president?
He was president from 99 to 2007, and then he came back into power in 2012.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, he doesn't get, he's never going to get voted out. So he has a lot of experience to go ahead and do that. Every president of ours has 8 years to sort it all out, and less than that, actually.
Yeah, but he's also got his pocket monkey that he swaps titles with periodically, president and prime minister.
Mendeyev, yeah, because he was really the one running the show, even when he wasn't.
Even when his puppet's been president or whatever, he's still the one who's in control.
Yep. So he's effectively been in control since '99, and based on what I know, there's been a lot of crazy shit in Russia. I mean,
well, I'm just saying, if we could take his leadership style and his the way he handles things and change his morals and change his outlook on life to be a more acceptable human being, but keep all of his skills and everything, he could make a damn good country.
I just don't. I'm skeptical of him actually doing that because
you're not saying that he would. It's just a matter that he's saying he could.
What qualities are you talking about? He seems like a skeevy little shit to me. That's what he seems like, a skeevy little shit.
Well,
that's how every time I hear him talk about anything, he comes across as a little.
Yeah, skeevy little shit is just the definition of politician. I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, but a Russian politician, politics in Russia is a little different than here in America. It's actually crazier in Russia.
Yeah, I guess
mainly because they actually they don't just merely talk about throwing their political opponents in jail. They actually do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
not cool.
Is Hillary Clinton not in jail yet?
What? No, that's not going to happen.
There's something else to remember as well when you're considering Russian leaders, and that's the nature of the Slavic people themselves.
They have them assassinated right in front of the Kremlin. They fucking kill people.
I mean, compared to the US, UK, westernized mindset, the Slavic mindset is as different as the
He's playing the hand he was dealt.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he's playing the hand he was dealt. I mean, that's how Russia is run.
Yeah. But exactly.
That's one of those.
And
things.
if he hadn't stepped in and did what he did and took power the way he did, somebody else would.
Does he need to steal money like that? Like, does he need to take all the money and do all the things with the money?
That's a hangover from Russian imperialism.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? Are you talking about how he's in control of the money and how it's distributed, or what do you mean?
He has a salary, right? He has a salary for work that he does, but yet he is far wealthier than his salary.
Yeah, she's talking about the kleptomania.
He's like the most rich man on the planet.
Kleptocracy aspect of.
So why does that have to happen? I mean,
honestly. That's a product of two different things. One is that politicians that can and do get power often get a lot of money from people who want to share in that power. And secondly is in Russia, with how capitalism works, that's guaranteed to happen to the person on top.
Yeah, it is.
Of course.
Especially on a foundational framework that Russia has, which was the Russian imperial system. Which this is why when you look at the Kremlin, when you look at all of these places that Putin and his cohorts move around in, there's so much fucking gold everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's a layover from the Russian royal families.
Well, they could use it to maybe farm or something. Put it into farming and providing food for the country. Or something.
Well, Russia's screwed, at least for the next few years, because they're about to run out of their reserved funds. Because if you remember, after they invaded the Ukraine 3 years ago, the UN put sanctions on them. Those sanctions are actually having a pretty big effect, whether it's reported on or not.
Asshole. You better learn how to farm in a freezing cold country. And I suggest building lots of fucking, indoor farming shit.
Yeah, those sanctions have had me worried since they were put in. Not that I'm defending Russia or their actions or anything in the Ukraine, because I'm not. But those sanctions on Russia, combined with how their military is built and how it operates, means that if there is true conflict between any Western nation and Russia, Russia literally has one choice in that war to be anything but an all-out loss, and that's to go nuclear.
Yeah.
They are stuck in that corner because of those sanctions.
And that's where international politics.
But they had options, though. I mean, like, some of those sanctions were very carefully put in. Like, those sanctions weren't supposed to affect food, but Putin instead decided that he wasn't going to trade with France, or he wasn't going to trade with Poland, even though, like, those are actually countries that he trades with for food products.
They don't make food products.
But, I mean, had he decided had he decided to be more mature at that time, he wouldn't have been in the situation he was in, because there wouldn't have been the food. The food prices wouldn't have risen as high had he just been more mature with those countries. Because had he decided to trade with those countries, food prices would have been a lot lower.
I disagree with that being an aspect of maturity so much as it is that a Russian leader must be prideful and must show and flaunt that pride. If not, it's seen as a huge weakness, and you're not going to be able to maintain what you have.
Yeah, but how has that worked for him? I mean, like, in a global market, that doesn't really help you out.
If he had accepted the sanctions as is and kept trading with them, and that weakness had happened, I can almost guarantee you that he wouldn't be in power anymore, and someone else would be, and they would have denied the trade anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this is why I said when you're considering the Russian politics, you also have to consider the nature of the Slavic people.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they only respond to certain types of ruling class.
Fuck them all. That's what I say.
But such is the case.
But I think that's good analysis. I appreciate your analysis of that.
To be perfectly honest, that's one of the reasons Russian communism turned out the way that it did, because the only way that it could keep rule over its people was to behave more or less the same way as the fucking royalty that it took over from. And this is why you find Chinese communism is so different.
Yeah. If Russia were to become more of a quote-unquote westernized, I guess is a good word for it, nation, where they had the ability to be humble where needed and had the ability to be civil towards people of different marginalized groups and that kind of stuff, to get to that point would have to be a very slow, very marginal process of one leader after another getting slightly closer. And we're generations away from that happening if it starts today.
Absolutely. And you've got exactly the same cultural conflicts going on with Islam in the Middle East.
Well, if they wouldn't shoot, poison, or jail their political opponents,
then they wouldn't get power.
They might have a chance of electing somebody who's a little bit more progressive.
Yeah, but as Nodvik says, they literally would not get into power unless they were prepared to do these things because of the nature of the Slavic people.
Well, the nature of the Slavic people is changing.
Yes.
Hang on though. Here's the thing.
It takes time.
That's what I know, and I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
So why are you arguing with me?
Hang on though. Part of the point that you're kind of missing here is that, okay, you have somebody that's not willing to do these things, but they're not willing to do these things to people that are willing to do these things.
Well, you'll elect people who won't be willing to kill their political opponents anymore. That practice will end. Because
then they get killed, but then there's the high chance of them getting killed by the political opponents that they refuse to kill. It's this weird cycle.
Yeah, they won't be able to get elected because they won't be alive to see election day if they're not willing to do that.
Yeah, it's like your big corporation not being willing to.
Let me put a situation to you. Let's say
that's not a.
Let's do a little simulation here. Say Russia is having an election 2 or 3 years down the line, and there's like 7 or 8 possible candidates or whatever you want to call them that are going up, and let's say all 7 or 8 of them are progressive and civil and that kind of stuff. What would happen in that situation, to my belief, would be that since none of the political opponents will kill each other, the civilians in Russia will.
Yeah.
What?
I really think people in Russia would be the ones to kill those opponents to get somebody strong in power because they rely on that strength. Yeah, I'm not saying it is strength. I'm saying they see it as strength.
Yeah. Basically, what would happen is you would have some loudmouth come up from within the populace saying, our rulers are weak, our rulers are this, our rulers are that, and they would get such a popular following. The people would actually elect into power the very people that you are trying to find a way of getting out.
Mm-hmm. It's an unfortunate situation, and it can change, but it's going to take several generations of very minor changes to add up into becoming what you want it to be.
Absolutely.
It sort of feels like a little bit, when you're describing it to me this way, it sort of feels like the middle. It's like a place like Saudi Arabia.
That's why I made that. That's why I made that clarification.
What you're talking
because
about
it's the same sort of cultural.
It's that like antiquated still. It's
It's a matter of changing the cultural paradigm, which takes time.
It's the last remnants of the tribes. And
that's actually a very good way of looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, we're set in our ways and they're set in their ways. The way they see it, if they were looking at our election, having the same conversation about us, saying that our leaders are weak, they'd be saying for us to get a strong leader, we would need several generations of minor changes. And they probably even think Trump is a step towards that.
Yeah, that's actually a very good observation.
I think that's why.
But I don't want to go the way of the Russia.
I think that's why Trump is it actually has a high approval rating in Russia. It's like
I believe he does.
Country that likes him.
I don't know.
But I don't like Trump's ideas and policies, but the way he's going to force things into action is, even if it is the wrong action, the movements of forcing things into action is something that our country does need.
But what if it goes against the Constitution? I mean, like, the whole point of having the Constitution is to prevent certain actions. Like, we can't just go gung-ho for any action we like if it goes against the Constitution, because the Constitution.
I'm not saying to take actions against the Constitution. I'm just saying that we need some kind of action to happen, as opposed to having Congress meet 3 days out of the year, and first day is a barbecue, second day is a party, and the third day is we're on break. We've been working for 2 days.
What's going to happen is the Republican Party is not like Trump. Yeah, it does not have that positive quality you're describing as Trump. So what they're using him as is a puppet, and when they're tired of him and he steps out of line, they will impeach him because they can get him on a number of things. He's, first of all, a pathological liar. So they'll be able to get him to perjure himself, and he'll be gone.
I don't know.
Otherwise, there's a zillion other ways to capture him at this point, it looks like.
Perjury, I can see perjury happening, but dishonesty I can't see being pushed through straight up, because it's a common idiom that actions speak louder than words. Well, he says one thing and does another. He's doing what he said he was going to do in the campaign. Even if he couldn't articulate it well, he's making quote unquote good on his promises.
I don't see how he is. I mean, like, he said that he wouldn't get involved in Syria, but he did. He said he would push back against trade deals. I don't see how he's doing that. Like, he's not really taking us down.
Really, he just talks about things and says they're going to work out great, and then they don't.
Yeah. I think he sees every public discussion as a confrontation, as something he needs to win, and what comes out of his mouth is likely not what's actually in his head. Just like when I had a discussion here in one of 13's hangouts with a transgendered person. There were a lot of things that I said that weren't quite what I meant or wanted to say, and looking back on them, if I were to articulate my opinion now like I did the other day, it's slightly different because I'm not in the heat of the moments of a confrontational discussion. Yeah. And I think he sees every public discussion as a confrontation he has to win.
Yeah. Well, he has character flaws that are easily it's very limited. His repertoire is not large. It's very narrow, and
frankly, he's not that bright.
It's the personality and it's the character of a con artist, and that's the only thing I can say. That's really the only thing I need to know about him. He's got the character of a con artist, and I know the area of the country where he comes up, and he comes up in my day. Yeah, so I'm aware of like who he is. He's just a cheat and a conning with bullshit artist. So he's very litigious, and I hate litigious people. So I'm probably very biased.
Have we gotten our new Supreme Court justice yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. They pushed for. Oh God, I've been.
Gorsuch. Yeah, he was confirmed, and they did it through.
They couldn't get the votes, so they changed the rules.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, I mentioned to you that they were
the rule change
Is that what nuclear means, or
there was a rule change that they tried to get put through around the time Obama was in there, and all the Republicans were saying how horrible it would be, and how it would affect our democracy irrevocably, and all this other crap. And then the minute they're in power, they did the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
That's normal.
That takes balls right there.
I honestly really wanted, and there was no chance of it happening, but I wanted Obama to be the Supreme Court justice, because while he doesn't have the backbone to really do the president thing as long as he did or any longer, I think he would make a great Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right there.
Yeah, I thought he was a pretty good president too.
I really believed he would be. I really believed in him during the campaigns, but he really backed down way too much. He couldn't stand his ground.
With who? With who?
With Congress, that's really kind of the thing is he would approach the table already with a deal in hand, already with a compromise.
Yeah.
And he was giving away too much out of the gate, which made his negotiation position weaker.
You have to. Those presidents who don't do that.
I'm going to slightly agree with you. You do have to make compromises. You do have to back down sometimes. But you don't have to go into the thing. Yeah, you don't have to go into this thing going, hey, here's my idea, and if you don't like it, we could always do this instead if you want. It's not a good
compromise you keep that in reserve.
Not a good negotiator. So
you don't start with a 3/4 compromise walking to the table.
No, never.
Yeah. If you're trying to get black votes to count, you don't walk up. You walk up saying black people are people too. Their votes should count because they are American citizens. You don't walk up going, "Hey, I'd like black people to vote, but if you want, we can only let 3 out of every 5 of them vote."
Yeah, we can still gerrymander. Yeah. Ah, man. Okay, well,
and
so
the
he had that
gerrymandering of districts is part of what costs the election.
But I don't think he might have had that annoying way of negotiating, which was kind of pathetic, but he did a lot of good
pathetic is a good word.
He wanted to help people, so he tried to put fucking healthcare into practice, right?
Yeah, and his original bill for that was great. I would have loved to see the original Obamacare, but what came out of it was this. It was exactly a product of his pathetic. Yeah.
He had to fucking please everybody, and all the companies that everybody's in, all the people, corporations now, those guys had to give representation, and they know more about it. So
one good thing about Obamacare or the Healthcare Act being repealed by Trump means that in 4 years, if we get a president who knows what the fuck they're doing and has a backbone, we can get a real national healthcare system put in.
That's right. That's what Hillary was trying to. Hillary and Bill. Hillary actually went around and tried to understand how to do healthcare. Like, she studied other countries, and she came out and they wanted to do this, but she got laughed out. She got laughed out.
The drug companies are too fucking powerful in terms of the lobbyists.
Go back to being first lady. So she did, and we got nothing. They didn't even want to hear about single payer back then, and it was well past time. So after the Clintons tried, and they didn't get anything through. I'm surprised Obama was able to make a deal, and obviously, you have to get your foot in the door with some kind of thing, before you can change it and improve upon it.
But there were a couple of reasons that I specifically cannot forgive Obama. I cannot see him as a good leader for the country, and they're petty things. I recognize that they're petty things, but I'll give an example of why I can't respect him as a president. He was getting off of Air Force One. This was a year after he was inaugurated and became president. He was getting off of Air Force One, and in his right hand was a cappuccino or something, a small cappuccino. And using his left hand, he's buttoning his overcoat still as he's walking off of Air Force One. And there's the Marines saluting him, and he holds his freaking latte up to his eyebrow and just does that.
Yeah, that was a bad
It's
movie
like,
with him. I agree.
Yeah, that was a little
But
bit.
it was, you could see
that
in the
was-
picture that it was so casual and
yeah,
you
that
know,
was
He was pretty chill. I kind of like that about him, though.
disrespectful. Yeah, but that was so disrespectful to our military. So extremely
Yeah.
disrespectful.
Yeah, when
It was
you're on
disgusting.
parade like that, and your commander in chief is like all casual and oh yeah, good to see you,
now
boys.
after he
It's
did
just
that,
like
he should have put his
Ugh.
cup in his other hand and done it properly, and then I would have
Exactly.
forgiven
what
him.
he should have done was given
Is
the cup
finish-
to an aide and saluted
Well,
properly.
there might not have been an aid there, Brian.
What he should have done is finish buttoning his goddamn jacket at very least before getting off the fucking
At the very
plane.
least.
Yeah. He was distracted. You could tell.
He's the president. They can wait 3 seconds for him to button his jacket.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm with Nodvik on this one.
Okay.
I agree. I agreed with him right away, but I mean, like, Jesus, it's just one thing, and that's why he's not a good president. It's like,
That's just an
yeah.
example. That's just an example.
I think, generally speaking, as presidents go, I think he was a pretty good president.
I really think he could have been. I think he fell short.
Hang on. Now, I'm not saying a great president, but I think he was a pretty good president.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem was that with the way that really the bullshit was going on in Congress and what have you, especially during his last term, and how
Think
much
about
they were
what he inherited.
just struggling to stop anything he fucking tried to do. You know, it's like, I mean, it's like this whole thing. It's just this weird Obama hatred that we had going on. That oh no, if Obama's doing it, it must be bad because he's the Antichrist or some stupid shit.
Yeah. There's a couple of things he did that I can understand how it came to be that he did them, but he really shouldn't have. Like he had so much stress and so much going on and all that good stuff. So I can understand why, for instance, he signed Common Core, but because that was such a low priority compared to everything else going on when he signed it, and I can understand that where he's coming from, but still he signed it, and that puts some of the onus and responsibility on him.
Yep.
And when you keep hearing stories of people getting pulled out of school and put into private school because they're failing standardized tests, because where they're told to show their work for 3 times 5, and they write out 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 15, and get marked wrong because they were supposed to put 5 threes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Anyway.
I'm not very happy with the standardized testing and all this kind of crap. I mean, I've known several people that used to be teachers, even in Texas. I've known a few people that have been teachers, and I know specifically one woman that quit being a teacher because she got so tired of not being able to teach what the kids needed to fucking learn. She was too busy teaching the damn test.
Exactly. That's the thing. No child left behind.
This is the problem: is that the school funding is based upon the number of kids that pass this stupid standardized test.
Exactly. No Child Left Behind was
didn't they just
worst.
repeal it? They repealed the No Child Left Behind, I think, back in 2015.
Yeah, but No Child Left Behind was by far the worst thing to ever happen to the American education system. And to follow that up with Common Core, which just fucking emphasizes the problems, just capitalizes on the problems to make it worse somehow.
Yeah.
It's because the implementation was shit. That and a lot of the programs that he tried to put through needed funding, then they were just unwilling to provide the required funding.
I don't know.
Because, that means that a rich person might have to pay an extra $5 a month.
I felt in many ways, though, he was disappointing just because he tried to set a high standard. Like, he tried to set a high standard that he couldn't possibly live up to. Yeah. And now it's just kind of expected that every other president has to set some kind of high standard that we can't live up to.
Yeah, he actually has a good list of accomplishments in his tenure.
I don't know. I feel like
actually, if you go through his list of accomplishments, he did actually get quite a bit done, but it was so overshadowed by all of the things that were held up as huge failures.
I mean, like, I would argue that even some of his accomplishments are over-exaggerated. I'm not really a big fan of the Obamacare just because I think it was sold to us on a lot of broken promises.
The way we closed Guantanamo Bay was not handled properly either. Because we needed to reform the way we imprison terrorists. We needed to reform how we treated them, that kind of stuff. But with how Guantanamo Bay was closed and how a lot of those terrorists that were, in fact, terrorists were set free.
Yeah, like 30%, like 30% of those guys, I think, went back to jihadist activities.
You mean they weren't
straight up immediately.
Well,
no.
okay. The problem is you treat people like shit and torture the fuck out of them for years, and then say you're free. What the hell do you expect?
Well, yeah, but okay.
Here's
the
thing.
Wait, whoa. Let me finish. The problem is with that situation, and this is going to fucking sound horrible. We had a tiger by the tail. You'd taken these people, some of them guilty, some of them not. You'd made enemies out of them. You'd made them to the point that they had a good reason to fucking hate us. I'm sorry. The only answer was to basically kill them.
Yeah, I'm perfectly willing.
That's a horrible thing to say, but what else is there at that point?
Yeah, kill them after they get out of prison and start being terrorists again. That's what we did with some of them.
I'm perfectly willing to concede and to give that there were probably a lot of people in Guantanamo Bay that were innocent before they went there and weren't jihadists and weren't terrorists before they went there. I've seen nothing to suggest that that was actually the case, just a lot of rhetoric that I've heard that says it was, but I'm perfectly willing to concede that sure, there was probably some there. But the thing is, the people that were there that we needed to have there were the people that we were quote-unquote trying to get intelligence from that I would have blown up if they weren't there. And if we're going to close down Guantanamo Bay, we should have just executed them straight up.
Why not just send them to a prison on our shores?
Yeah,
that seems like
suicide.
Unfortunately, politically that would have been political suicide. But at the same point,
I don't understand why that. I mean, if we're capable, we're capable of holding these guys in a maximum security prison. Like if we're capable of doing it.
The reason to be political suicide is the same reason that it was getting closed down, is because of the stigma of what's quote unquote supposedly going on there. So if we go and kill them all, then we're just killing quote what the public basically accepts as innocent people, especially since if we're closing it, that can be interpreted as an admission that they're just innocent people.
Right.
Which is why it's political suicide.
So
but it should have been done.
Send them back into the wild, and if they act up again, then you just.
This is why I say you have a tiger by the tail, because you know it doesn't matter what you're doing, because if you, as they say with the tiger by the tail thing, if you let go of it, it's going to turn around and bite you. Mm-hmm. You can't keep holding on, but you can't fucking let go.
Unleash a team of assassins. Follow these guys around.
I don't know.
That's expensive.
No, you'd be better off having an accident at the facility, and yeah. It's a horrible thing to say, but
I honestly wish that our government would act in some kind of conspiracy way every now and then, where the conspiracy theories that happen all the time that are obviously not true, like the government faking terrorist attacks and that kind of stuff. I wouldn't have minded so much if, there was a little explosion on Guantanamo Bay before it was closed, and they claimed that one of the guys that were in the there were responsible.
Yeah.
That would have been acceptable. I mean, I would know that was probably the government that did it, but I would be okay with it because those people did not need to be set free.
Well, all this shit going on in the Middle East, I think we're handling incredibly badly. Yes. And the funny thing is that I think the problem is, you sit there and you blow up somebody's family, what the hell's going to happen? They're going to get pissed off. Mm-hmm. They're going to want to strike back. I think we'd be better off, instead of sitting there and putting boats off there to sit there and launch missiles at them, I think we'd be better off putting boats off there to basically send pirate radio stations in there with people that actually know the fucking Quran, so they can sit there and preach to them a message that's more aligned with our values.
I don't think that's gonna work so well. I mean, like they've done studies. Well, they've done like trial studies with this. Like they've sent like some kind of moderate imam like into jihadist prisons, and they've actually got like radical imams sent to those prisons. Guess which ones they were set to do better? It wasn't the moderate ones.
Yeah, but if you sit there and start off by sitting there and basically giving them a better, a kinder, gentler face to their religion,
it doesn't work. It doesn't always work that way.
And in addition to, okay, am I talking about us sending imams in place, or am I talking having our own fucking stations that are controlled by our people?
Pirate radio stations that they don't even know are controlled by our people.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's the point, Prudent.
It's the whole point of propaganda. Its effectiveness is totally dependent on its delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's like me and my supervisor in Korea. Our plan, if North Korea started getting too uppity, was to get a bunch of barbecues, go up to the DMZ and start cooking some steak, and start announcing over the border through megaphones that we have beer, steak, and porn. Come join our side.
But I mean, like I had actually just read a book like that actually explained like the rise of ISIS, and they explain like one of the ways that they get recruits is really by having a triumphalist message. Because one of the things that ISIS does is they'll say, "Look, see how we keep winning all these battles? Why do you think we keep winning all these battles? It's because God lets us win these battles."
So, what's going to get a better reception? Launching a bunch of missiles and blowing a bunch of people up, or going into a country to physically rebuild it?
Well, I mean, not to necessarily destroy the whole country, but you have to fight ISIS militarily. Because if you defeat them, then where does their triumphalist message go? It goes down in flames.
Yep.
Because like they can't get recruits if they're not winning the battles. If they're losing the battles, then it's...
if we're killing people's families, it's going to make it easier for them to get recruits.
Yep.
I mean, I agree that it's sad that there's always the issue of collateral damage, but I don't really see a better option.
We're not talking collateral damage.
Option.
We're not actually talking collateral damage at this point. What we're talking about is whether this person's part of a radical family or not doesn't really matter. You kill someone, and everyone that loves that person is going to want to be gunning for you. It's the standard revenge mindset, man.
But I'm just saying, like, would you agree that there's a point, like, where you have to take on, like, radical jihadists from a military standpoint? You still have to confront them militarily.
I think your radicalization is not going to be done militarily.
I mean, it seems like that's how it's happening.
Eventually, you'd have to kill the entire population because the more people you kill, the more enemies you make.
At some point, you have to interrupt the recruitment process.
Yeah, but like you have to be smart about it, and
and that's the way you do that is you turn the hearts and minds in a more favorable direction than allowing them and giving them every excuse they need to self-radicalize.
Well, radicalization's not wrong if a Muslim does it. Sorry.
But I mean, here's the thing: is if instead of going into these countries and blowing the shit out of them, if we were going in with essentially prefab buildings, food, etc., and just slowly rolling that in, and sure, you have your troops and you have your guns and your weapons and this and that, but those are to protect the people that are basically behind your lines. So you push in further and further into the country. Well, everyone behind that line is being protected, sheltered, fed, and you're trying to help them get on with their lives and give them their country back and rebuild. They're not going to want to kill you.
But isn't that what we've already been doing? I mean,
no, it's not what we've been doing. We've been blowing it
into rebuilding the infrastructure in these countries.
Have you seen Syria?
Yeah, but that's
I'm not talking about giving the government money and hoping that they're not going to be corrupt and hoping they'll actually use that for what we want them to. I'm talking us fucking doing it.
Yeah, but we basically want on-site refugee camp kind of idea.
Yeah, but I mean, like, to rebuild Syria, that would actually involve somebody invading the entire country of Syria, and I don't think we're willing to do that.
Yes, it would, and it would require taking roughly half of our military force and converting them from people that go around killing people to basically your Army Engineers Corps.
Yeah, but I mean... It's a little more than that. I mean, you have to also, you have to fight all the tribal warlords that exist in Syria because it's Sunni and Shiites who want to kill each other. I mean, like, you're not going to convert those people.
Are we talking about converting those people? They can kill each other. As long as they don't shoot at us, we can leave them the fuck alone.
Yeah, but they're also going to try to kill, they're also going to try to kill civilians from the other side. At some point, you have to provide protection to the civilians by fighting them.
Which will help bolster our position of we're trying to protect them.
Yeah, exactly.
But it turns us into the good guy instead of the bad guy. If somebody's sitting there doing their damnedest to help you, are you going to shoot them?
Yeah, but there's a problem, though.
The situation it is currently at this very moment is there's bombs falling on their head, and there's authority figures claiming that we're the bad guy, and them receiving no other messages.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But Syria,
you have to show them you're not the enemy, not simply go, well, we're not your enemy, bomb, bomb, bomb.
Yeah, well, the people that okay, I'll put it this way. In Syria, one of the problems with why people hate us is the fact that we haven't fought their governments. because a lot of people in Syria hate their government because it's their government that's killing them.
That is only true for the people that are currently under bombardment. The biggest message from them is, how can civilized world sit by whilst our government does this to us?
But here's the thing is, if you're drawing that line and you're effectively invading the invading the country and rebuilding it as you go, actively rebuilding it, providing areas for people that are refugees, providing a safe space for them. If the Syrian government turns and tries to kill people that we are actively protecting, that is an act of war, and you can have a proper declared war at that point because they have struck first.
We've never I don't think there'd ever be a properly declared war. We haven't done a properly declared war until we haven't done a properly declared war since World War II. Like
they're effectively declaring war on us if they attack the people that are under our protection. And you let their fucking government know that, and they will. If you're outside of that zone of protection, okay, not our fucking problem. If you're in that zone of protection, that's an act of fucking war.
Yeah, and the fact is, like, you're not really going to get the American people behind another war in Syria just because Iraq was such a debacle.
You're not understanding the seesaw effect here.
No, I get what you're saying. So basically, the world is fucked, and there's nothing we can do about it. That's kind of the.
I just think I was.
There's nothing that will be done about it. Yeah.
There's nothing that will be done. Yeah, because we're not going to spend the money to rebuild another country anyway. But, I mean, if we went to, say, Iraq, and when we went in there, after blowing the crap out of all these places and leaving them without any electricity or water and any of this other crap, if we had the Army Corps of Engineers going right behind the troops and rebuilding as we went in there, do you think we would have developed as many enemies? And instead of handing out Bibles, if we were giving them brand spanking new, nice, clean Qurans, they might have looked at us different.
That wasn't the military handing out Bibles, at least.
I know it wasn't, but yeah. The misinterpretation, that in Afghanistan, they don't have fucking TVs. They didn't know why the hell we were there. They had no fucking clue. To them, we were just an invading force. They didn't know that there'd been an attack or that we were retaliating. They had no clue of this shit.
A lot of these countries now do have... because of the advances in technology that have been made over the last 15 years, a lot of these countries have access to. I mean, even though it's a poor country, like people
in terms of that regarding Afghanistan,
still have cellular phones. I'm just saying, like, these people aren't cut off.
Like, in terms of what I was saying about Afghanistan, these were reports that the troops were saying that the people there had no clue why we were attacking them.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying that was 15 years ago when Afghanistan was a poor country.
Your position is wrong, though, because in a lot of countries, such as Afghanistan and North Korea and several others, the endpoints are monitored and whitelisted. You can't get information even on the internet that you don't have provided to you because they block outbound connections going up beyond the country's borders. Straight up. Like North Korea, you can talk to any North Korean college student. They don't know what Google is.
But this is also where the propaganda side of war comes in, that if you have your pirate radio stations, etc., so that you're able to try and inform the people in a way that their government can't readily block, it gives you another leg up.
Exactly.
To make intelligence part of the war instead of just claiming that you have war intelligence. And, I mean, yes, propaganda is frowned on, but there's a level of it that you're going to be dealing with their propaganda, so why not have your own out there? I mean, yes, there are people that certainly won't trust you, but at least when you're saying, so-and-so attacked... if we went there and we were broadcasting on damn near every fucking band possible, the U.S. was attacked by this person, we will provide a reward to anyone who brings us their fucking head. And then you've sent in the troops, and they understood all they need to do is turn this fucking person over, and you will leave. It might have made things a little easier.
Yeah.
It may not have, but it might have. At least the people would have a clue why the fuck you're there.
Maybe they would have reacted how we did to fucking the Paladin in 12th Tribe,
Yeah. Oh yeah, you know the entire fucking moon's about to get fucking blown up if y'all don't kill Gary, so y'all went and killed Gary.
Yep.
You know, there's a point at which it's when you realize it's either them or us, that usually they go. You know. I mean, it sounds horrible, but to sit there and evoke Godwin's law in this discussion, briefly, that's why so many people turned in Jews because they didn't want themselves to be, fucked over. I mean, it's in some ways a horrible thing to say, but there's a point to which people are like, okay, it's either them or us.
Mm-hmm.
We see this time and time again. I mean, the solution to refugees is to give them their fucking country so they don't have to be refugees, you know?
Yep.
The question is, how do you go about that?
We can give them a glass parking lot.
Trump can build them another fucking hotel. Yeah, I mean, the pictures you see out of Syria, it looks like there isn't a building left standing in the entire country. I'm sure that's not the case, but it's what it looks like in those images. It's like, holy crap.
It depends what city it is. Like, if it's Aleppo, yeah, or sorry, East Aleppo, like, it's fucked. Like, there's like just about all the buildings are gone, all the electricity is gone, all the hospitals I think are gone, nothing left.
Can you imagine essentially we'll call it an aircraft carrier or whatever, something similar to that in terms of scale, that's a little bit more RAF-like, that has on it essentially, a large mobile hospital or power plant or whatever that you can just roll up on the damn beach and just roll that fucker off, plug in an area, have a brand new power grid for them.
Yeah, that wouldn't work because the Syrian government controls the beaches.
Yeah, but if we're controlling that beach and say that you fuck with us here, that's an act of war, then they're probably going to let us go in and do that.
We are providing humanitarian aid. If you attack us, you are declaring war. Have a nice day.
I mean, the Syrian government's already, I think they're the ones who bomb the most hospitals. Like, who's to say they wouldn't do that? I mean, this is the government that shows no mercy when it comes to hitting.
Yeah, but say we're providing humanitarian aid to some civilians, and we say we announce to the global economy at whole, we are providing humanitarian aid here. You attack us, and it's an act of war, and then they attack us.
Now you have the entire fucking world against you.
Yeah, think Russia and the others would back them then.
Like, they hit the hospital.
Better situation.
Yeah, they hit the hospital so hard that they were forced to make underground hospitals.
Yeah,
like, that's how bad it was. It's still, sorry, bad it is. It still is that way.
You can also roll in and topple the regime if you really wanted.
Yeah, but here's the problem: you don't know what the fuck's going to happen once you take that action. Because I can tell you this: who would take over afterward? ISIS, Al Qaeda. Both those groups are fighting in Syria.
What I've never understood is that generally when we go into one of these countries, they usually have neighbors. I mean, I know it'd be kind of messy sitting there and saying, okay, now this country's in charge of this country until this country can get their shit together. But I've always wondered why you can't do that.
I could see that turning out a lot worse, though.
Like, we're already doing that. Like, we're trying to get the Jordanians on our side.
I thought the Iraq thing, I mean, I'm sure everyone's going to argue with me on this one, but I always thought after we took Iraq, we should just divide it up into the neighboring countries.
Yeah, oh, you mean like divide it into 3 countries?
Yeah. No, basically like, okay, this is now part of Iran, this is now part of this is now part of that.
Oh, yeah, that would have been a good thing to do, because like Iraq really shouldn't be its own country. It is an artificial country that was created after World War II, but like the problem with Iraq is that it's divided up along the different tribes and the different religious groups. Like, it's 70. Like, there's Shia Muslims. I think it's 70% Shia Muslim, 20% Sunni Muslim, and then you have the Kurdish population, which kind of throws a wrench into everything.
And the Ahmadis and the Hobbies.
Yeah, like the best thing to do would have just been, okay, this eastern part of Iraq will become part of Iran. Like, the western part can just become part of Syria, and then like the Kurds get their own country.
But then it's out of our hands, for starters. we are not seeing as some great fucking conquering villain that's there for the oil or some shit. And the powder keg Middle East is still the powder keg Middle East without us having to sit there and babysit them for years and years and years and waste a shit ton of money on it. And not make so many fucking enemies in the process because we are the invader. These other countries were invaders, but they would have been Muslim at least. And that's the thing is we're seeing as being waging a holy war. And dipshit Bush even used the word crusade for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Wait until the Middle East isn't going to be like the head of the news in the next 20 years because the next chapter of at least American foreign relations is going to be in the South China Sea. It's going to be in East Asia. It's going to be in the Pacific because of China's growing influence. So we're going to send fleets over to the Pacific Ocean off the Chinese coast.
If we fuck with China too much, that's going to be
but that's the whole point. Like we're trying to, and we're going to try to make, and we're going to use our Navy to make a confrontation towards China. And we say, look, you want to become the next global superpower? Come and try to take it from us, motherfucker.
They are financially. They know how to fight a financial war. That's what we're waging these days in most countries.
We still have a higher GDP than China. I think it's still going to be that way for...
Actually, due to the amount of debt that we have with China, they technically own a fair portion of the U.S., and it's just going to keep growing the way things are going.
Yeah, but China needs a strong U.S. economy because, hey, they also need to... Because they own so much of the U.S., or we owe so much debt to them, they need us to be strong so we can pay them back. Like, so they're also...
The problem is that you become intermingled with your finances to the point that you can no longer declare war.
Wasn't that a good thing? Less war?
Well, it does unless you end up with one country essentially buying the other over time. And that's kind of what we're dealing with right now.
But like I said, I don't say they're buying us. It's a debt agreement. And as I said before, like agreements to buying debt, I think are a good thing because it makes countries codependent on one another. And I think if countries become codependent on one another, I think those tensions that exist between countries, they tend to wind down over time, and the countries will probably ease up, and those tensions might become non-existent over a few decades.
Sorry, have you been seeing what's going on in Europe, economically speaking, recently? When it comes to countries' debts to one another, I mean, Greece and Germany specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, none of these European countries are at war with each other, so it doesn't seem like it's... I mean, yeah, there's always going to be problems,
but... Got the European Union breaking up hand over fist or doing its damnedest to.
The thing is, you're looking...
I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect, but I mean, it's not going to be brought to... I don't think we're going to get... The situation's going to become dire to the point of war. I don't really see...
Hang on, wait. I think we're having a misunderstanding of sorts here. Because when you're talking about war, what you're talking about is guns and missiles and what have you. This is not the only kind of war that we wage in the modern era.
Yeah, we've got also, I mean, what you call terrorist incidents, or what we call terrorist incidents. There is another name for that, yeah, in the context of war, and that is guerrilla warfare.
Yep.
But there's also economic war, there's information wars, there's all kinds of different ways to wage war, not just militarily.
It was only guerrilla warfare when we did it.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that you can guarantee that in the rhetoric of those that are doing it, it's not terrorism, it's guerrilla warfare.
Yep, they are freedom fighters.
Exactly.
There's also a point at which...
When you look at Syria specifically, okay, and the ties that the rebels have with ISIS, the only reason that we're not calling them ISIS is because we're calling them freedom fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
which, by the way, ISIS would refer to themselves as...
Yep.
Now, in terms of the economic side of war, we have things like Greece. Greece effectively has fallen in a economic kind of war to Germany. Germany basically, for all intents and purposes, owns Greece and the people of it.
Yeah, exactly. And this happened in using the automobile industry. Basically, what Germany said to Greece was, "You can have a whole bunch of cars. Yeah, we'll give you a really good deal on them." Greece said, we don't actually know that we want your cars, but thank you." And now Greece is essentially, their economy is falling apart because of the crippling debt they owe Germany for those cars.
If you destroy another nation's economy, you don't need to destroy their military.
If they can't pay their military, they can't. The military can't eat and can't fight.
And of course, Germany dealt Greece another beautiful volley when saying to the refugees that were spilling out of Syria and the Middle East, "Hey, guess what, people? We need you. Yeah, if you can make it here, we will give you citizenship."
Yeah.
Greece said, "Thank you very much." Because
we have
Greece
the same thing right now.
Was one of the early landing points, and according to European law, Greece would have been beholden to host them.
We still have the law in place right now where if a Cuban sets foot on Floridian land, that they become an American citizen if that is their intent.
I mean, ultimately, there's a point at which war starts becoming smarter and no longer seems to have the, we'll just say, the very visible effect of seeing the dead bodies. Economically, you can achieve a very similar result by, basically fucking over a population and putting them all into a level of poverty that you could then come in financially and become the grand rescuer as well.
Yeah, and instead of it being seen as an invasion force, you're seeing as economic heroes.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a liberator.
I mean, what didn't Greece offer to sell themselves to Apple or some weird shit like that a while ago?
I didn't know that specifically, but it wouldn't surprise me. Greece is actually quite desperate.
Yeah, there was one at one point they were trying to see about selling the country or something, but I think Apple was the only one that could have afforded, and they were like, no. If I recall, I heard something about it and found myself giggling over the idea of buying a fucking country.
Yeah.
Well, countries have been up for sale before.
Yeah. It still struck me as funny though. It's like, okay, all you have to do is pay our debt, and you own us. That's fucking weird. Just on every level, it's weird.
If a company had the complete unfettered sovereign control over a nation, that let's just say we would only really have one place that manufactures Apple products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would have been interesting if somebody set up an actual corporatocracy in Greece. That would have been bizarre. It would have been interesting.
Well, even though I might get some backlash for this, but hey, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but whatever. One could almost say that the United Corporation of Trump is well underway.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
I'll say this: if Apple took control of Greece and became the corporatocracy of Apple, and everything in Greece was Apple, all jobs were Apple, etc., we still wouldn't notice a difference with tech support.
Probably not.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
Oh, I just want to say I'm looking through some news right now. Syrian jets took off again from that air base that was bombed. So
they took off. They took off within 24 hours. There was a Russian drone that did a flyover almost immediately after the attack, and it showed no fucking damage to the runways. I'm sorry, if their target was the runways, they completely fucking missed. 50 missiles and not a single hit.
I don't think it was the runway at all. I think it was something else.
They claimed it was the runways, and that's the point.
I don't know where that claim is coming from. I want a source on that actual claim, who said it, but because it was based on where the missiles landed, they were obviously targeting the freaking ammo stores and where the chemical weapons would be stored.
Yeah, but they claimed that they were trying to ground their military, was one of the claims that was made. They're going to. They're wanting to prevent them from being able to launch jets.
But who said that?
Somebody in the Trump administration. I don't remember who, or somebody close to them. I don't remember who the fuck it was. I'm more concerned about what was posted on Alt State Department shortly after the attack.
Because I mean, disabling airfields is not hard. We have how can I say this? With a certain type of report and a certain process taken, we have basically a button press away from disabling all of the airfields in North Korea. It's not like it's an inaccurate process. They would all be disabled within about 93 minutes of the button press.
And there's been a terrorist attack at an Egyptian church. 13 people killed. That's lovely.
Let me try to muster my surprise.
Yeah.
There's a point at which it just becomes background noise and you stop caring. It's just the fatigue of, here's another attack. Okay, great.
Yep, I know that feeling. Yep, I know.
Apathy kind of sets in after a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have 4 whole viewers. Wow, we were at 5 earlier. This has been a sad night. But then again, it is stupid in the morning. Incidentally, there is a link in the description if anyone wants to try to join. This is a corporate hangout, blah, blah, blah. If you go to join, it'll beep on the inside and then have to approve you to come in. So you'll have to be patient if I decide to let you in. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. I don't expect anyone to actually pop in at this hour. It's kind of stupid in the morning. I figured I'd put it out there anyway. That, and I'm not sure how long this is going to be running, in part because this is a crash test, because XSplit's been crashing all fucking day on me.
Yeah. When does your license run out for XSplit?
It doesn't. I have a license that's eternal.
Damn.
Yeah, I got the lifetime deal, man.
You should run a test with OBS just to see if it runs better for you anyway, I think.
Yeah, fuck that, man. I got a lifetime license on this shit. And we got somebody ready to join. No clue who they are, but my video's off anyway on the stream, so who cares?
Bring them in. It's probably a Fed.
No, they're in. Actually, that'd be kind of amusing.
Why you turn off the live feed for?
What do you mean? Why'd I turn off the live feed?
Just the video is off. You can't see. They can't see the screen up right there. Is all he's saying.
On the main video screen, all you see is icons. I always have the feed from people off on my end. I always have my bandwidth off, just as a good measure.
Yeah, due to
Jehovah's Witnesses rape little children.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
Jehovah's Witnesses rape little children.
Okay.
The fuck?
Everybody needs a hobby?
That was funnier than it should have been.
Yeah, it was, but we've all been up way the fuck too long.
Yep.
No, reverence is not something we're big on here.
I don't appreciate that he's taking my name.
Okay, you have no camera, so nobody can see that you look like a redheaded Jesus. Not in the feed, at least. You just look like weird blue face freakazoid.
Ew.
Out of curiosity, did you join for any reason other than to make that public service announcement?
Out of curiosity, what?
Wondering if he joined for a reason other than to make the public service announcement about Jehovah's Witnesses.
Google, United Kingdom, Jehovah's Witness investigations. Google, Australia, Royal Commission, Jehovah's Witnesses.
It's been discussed in Hangouts in the past that the people that have the urge to conduct pedophilic acts also seek the power and authority that would give them the safety of it, and being higher up in clergy or in any religious situation gives them that power and that position. So it's just, in my belief at least, more likely that a religious leader will be that way.
Seems almost
so whether it's
Jehovah's
any
cult.
Yeah, whether it's Jehovah's Witness, whether it's Catholic, whether it's Mormons or any fucking cult or religion across the board, you're gonna have that problem.
Those that seek power deserve none.
You're also going to have that problem with politicians as well. So,
as I said, those that seek power deserve none.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, anybody who's in a position of public prominence. So you're talking pop stars, various other personalities.
Yeah. Speaking of which, was R. Kelly never imprisoned for that?
I have no idea.
R. Kelly is the one that pissed on the 14-year-old, right?
I did not hear this one.
Or was that 50 Cent or something? It was some fucking famous rapper, some tapes and shit got released of him pissing on some 14-year-old girl.
Lovely.
Yeah.
More and more
charming. That was in the early 2000s. That was I don't know, 2002, 2003.
2 words, ew and ew.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I want to apply the hobby joke to that one. I've already made that joke tonight.
Right.
I don't think I can do a twofer with it.
Yeah, that's not a twofer.
Nah. One and done.
Yep.
Let's see now. Yeah, the financial system's a weird thing. Apparently, the best way to make money is to crash another nation's economy. I'm starting to wonder if that's what Trump's plan is.
What, make America rich by crashing it?
Pretty much, just fuck everything up, move your currency overseas, then pull it back.
Yeah. I think he was expecting us to respond to his attempt at trolling.
Yeah,
because he's gone now.
I don't give a shit about Jehovah's Witnesses. Whatever. If that's his whole activism thing is trying to get people to Google it, good on him. I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
I was trying to come up with a good Trump meme for April Fool's Day, but I was going through everything and it was just all too believable for anybody to actually fall for it as a joke.
Out of curiosity, did he actually have his camera on or no?
No, he didn't.
Oh, okay.
He had that sunset looking thing.
Yeah, I was just sitting there thinking, I hope this guy's not planning on coming in and whacking in the Hangout because nobody on the live feed will know it, and everyone in here will be going, get rid of him!
Right. Well, that's no. His name was
concern.
Lord Jesse, and he went straight into trying to confront a specific religious group. I think he's one of those people that just recently discovered his atheism and wants to
possibly
trigger a confrontation to try to prove his worth.
Or he's just annoyed with
a lot of us have
cult.
gone through that phase.
Yeah, could be. I don't know. Maybe he thought we'd give a shit.
Billy the Kid's in all works of life.
I mean, that's how I ended up modding the debate faith room on Stickam and Yahoo. Was that I was going out looking for confrontation. So
I thought it was hilarious. Years and years ago, back in my BBS days, there was a religion forum on this one BBS I called. Yes, BBS. I said that definitely fucking dates it. And they needed somebody else to run it, and they just needed a new person to take over the management of it. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And there was a fucking outcry. They're like, you're an atheist. I'm like, actually, I don't know that I'm necessarily an atheist. I have my beliefs, but I don't know if that counts. And they're like, fine, what are they? And they're into this fucking 2-page essay, and they're like, okay, you're not an atheist. You're just a fucking flake. I'm like, cool. See, are we okay now? And they're like, yeah, we're fine. You can run it. I'm like, okay, cool.
It was just the I don't know what the adjective is. Well, okay then.
So yeah, I ran that for a little bit, and all of a sudden this fucking discussion of Star Wars comes up, and they're just going on and on talking about their most recent movie at the time. This was that fucking long ago. And I shut down the conversation, and these guys are like, oh, well, that's religion. It has a religion behind it. It's a Jedi thing. And I'm like, well, then talk about that. You can sit there and to talk about whatever religious or philosophical angles or whatever, but not about how much you like the movie and your favorite scenes. Come on, keep it to the religious side of it. And they were just sitting there like, oh well, you're trying to get censorship. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, guys. If you want to discuss the religious side of it, please, I'd love to hear it. And they wouldn't, because they just wanted to talk about their favorite movie. Fucking retards.
Well, yeah.
No, I called them retards because I would have actually enjoyed a conversation about the philosophies behind that. That would have been interesting.
Today's discussion is about the philosophical and religious ramifications of Sonic the Hedgehog. Go.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, if you have the discussion, that's fine. But if you're just like, well, I liked episode 6. Wait a minute. Yeah, not so much.
Get,
Did you ever watch the If the Prequels Were Good series?
No, actually, no, I haven't.
It's by Belated Media, I think, is the YouTube channel. It's actually really good.
I'll maybe look it up later. I don't know. Not while I'm in here. I'm just glad that XSplit's still fucking running. It crashed like 10 times before I finally started it up. I think it's having an issue with my camera. That's really the only change. The only change is I didn't load up the camera this time, but it did say in the bug reports that a couple versions ago they were having an issue with the cameras. I think they fucked up this last release and put it back in. So we'll deal with that later. I don't know.
It's possible. That's You never actually played League of Legends, right?
No, I did not.
There's an item in League of Legends called the Banner of Command, and what it does is there's an active effect on it. Every 90 seconds, you can quote unquote promote a minion. You make it stronger, give it more health, more damage, more range, that kind of stuff. And any kills that minion gets, any other minions that it kills, you get the gold for it. Right now on the public beta environment, there's a bug with that item where you can use the promote on anything. So you can promote enemy champions, and every one of your allies that they kill, you get the gold for it.
oh, nice.
Whoops.
Oh, that's nice.
Actually kind of priceless. Yeah, I miss having an actual audience. I used to once upon a time. Started rebuilding it on this, then I took a fucking year off. Hell, once my head clears, I'm going to be taking more time off. Fuck.
Yeah.
I just can't do the editing right now. But book 3 needs to be edited because, well, what's the name of this actual hangout? Look up at the top, guys. They can't see it on the stream. Yeah, just tell them.
Book 3.
Yeah,
I hate book 3.
Yep.
I hate book.
Yep, I hate book 3. That would be that.
I hate book 3 part 2.
No, I just keep reusing the same name. I can do that. This is a fucking corporate hangout. I just click on whatever the fuck the last one was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still hating 3. I've kind of figured out what the core of what's wrong with it is, but it also needs a major edit and rewrite. And I have to make sure that I've done the proper lead in to the desired end.
Right.
Because, yeah, if I'm not alluding enough to what the fucking point of the damn thing is, then it's just going to seem like random shit like it does to me now.
Filler. Anyway.
Yeah, dude, that's what it fucking feels like to me. It feels like, I mean, there's plenty that happens in it, but right now it's feeling like it's all filler because the main character is a little kind of all over the fucking place. So I've got to kind of rein it in so that we get to, a centralized plot within the book, because so far it's just going around doing this, going around doing that, going around doing this, but we need, our central conflict, and I haven't really brought that out properly, so I have to go back and kind of write it in, now that I've figured out what the fuck it is. If you had the power to save or destroy the world, what would you do? Dun dun dun. There's the core of book 3. The internal struggle as to, does having power give you the right to use it? And if you don't use it, who will? Because that's the thing, is when you have a power vacuum, someone is going to fucking fill it. If not you, then someone the fuck else. And with how much mindless fucking random activism we have, it might be a pertinent message these days.
Yeah.
Because you have so many people that, oh no, I'm going to object to this, but I'm not going to fucking try to do anything about it. Or I'm just going to sit here and whine like a little bitch on the internet. Well, Trump's a terrible president. Did you vote? No. Good for you. Fuck off.
Everyone, every generation has their groups of people that think and act like they're making a change or claim and whine for change and aren't actually doing anything. I mean, even in the 70s, you had Woodstock. Yeah. They thought they were making a change. They were fucking sitting on a beach getting high. What the hell did they change, you know?
Yeah, actually, in somebody's farm, but anyway, yeah. Same thing.
Yeah.
Essentially, doesn't matter where they were sitting. There was no beach there, though.
Okay, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. I'm just anyway, kind of being pedantic here. I know it.
Yep.
But I mean, this is the thing: is it's like you either do something or you do nothing. And if you had the power to make change, would you? And I think a lot of people would just be overwhelmed by having the power. And initially, the story was more keyed to the idea of, here's all this power that's been thrust upon her, and she doesn't know what the fuck to do with herself. But there needs to be a conflict deeper than that.
I think my laziness would be a major factor in that. How much red tape do I have to go through to execute this power? Because if it's very little, yeah, I'd use it. If it's a lot, I'd probably say fuck it.
In this case, in the case of the main character, she has, she's been given a title, and that title has a lot of clout behind it. She's been given money, which, of course, the power of money. And now she's been given the equivalent of a fucking army. And she's done dick with any of it.
Yeah.
So the question should be, it needs to be asked, is why? And I need to address that and make sure that that's brought forward from former chapters. So I have to go back and do a little bit of revising here and there so I can get to that central theme, because it's not there right now.
Or you could actually find something for her to do with it.
That'll be the next book. The next book is supposed to be working title, Shadows Fell, as in taking down a fucking tree.
Ah.
Book 4 is intended to be the book soaked in blood.
The climax. The money shot.
The money shot, not quite the climax yet.
Climactic events, but...
Yes.
I have no idea how many fucking books it's going to be, but 1 and 2 are basically done. 1 is completely done, booked, and I just need to have either the agents get back to me or just fucking EPUB it. We'll see what Jabberwocky has to say first, or if they have anything to say. And I might send to some other agencies. I'm kind of put the wife in charge of that because she wants the hard copy.
Yeah.
But book 2 is pretty much done as a copy editor. There's just a couple more chapters that I haven't decided whether they're going in 2 or 3 that I'm going to, once they're done going through the copy editor, then I'll make the final decision because I want her input because she's a copy editor. She knows what the fuck she's doing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get her input. I think I know where I want it to end, but I want to see if I can get some agreement on it. So we just have to have those last few couple chapters gone through, and it's like 8 chapters, I think. About 30,000 words, 40,000 words, somewhere around there. And once she's done with that, then we can I can decide where the end is, give it a final spit polish, and then that'll be ready for release too. But I can't release 1 until 2's ready because 1 ends at such a fucking horrendous cliffhanger that I'd have people showing up at my door threatening to murder me if I don't release 2.
Yeah.
Oh, it's vicious.
Yeah.
I don't want to be one of those people that here's a horrible cliffhanger. You'll see the next book in 3 years. No, fuck you. That's wrong. That ain't cool.
Yeah, I remember when I was reading Terry Goodkind's Sword of Truth series. That was the thing, waiting for the next book to come out.
Book 2 is also the close of the Jungian arc. Book 3 starts a whole new arc, technically speaking. Well, you still have some of the same enemies out there. You still have some of the same things that need to be dealt with in terms of the Jungian side of it, of, the character kind of accepting that there's this kind of darkness within her. We're there by the end of book 2.
Yeah.
Then we can move from the notion of the shadow to something else. And at this point, it's more, what one does with power and the consequences, intended and otherwise. So it's kind of okay. Now I'm comfortable with who I am. Now, what the fuck do I do with myself?
I felt really stupid about 2 months ago when I came to a realization that I can't believe I didn't realize in my younger years. When it comes to anime, you know how the intro for animes tend to change throughout the series? They get a new song and a new set of scenes. That signals the next arc in the next saga.
Usually, yeah, not always, but very often. Every once in a while, they'll put one in there like an episode or two before the next arc starts.
I'd never realized the correlation between the new intro and the new arc starting until like a couple months ago, and I've been watching anime since like 2002.
Well, that's because sometimes they have the song ready ahead of time, so they start doing it way early, or they're partway into the arc before they get the fucking thing sent in. It's one of those things when you're dealing with too many people at once, sometimes your schedule gets all fucked up. So that might have been part of what might have been throwing you off.
Possibly.
Bleach is notorious for that shit.
I watched a lot of the first season of Bleach, but it was
everything past
for me.
Everything after the first season was a little shit anyway. The first season was fairly decent, but yeah.
It was too pulp and predictable for me. I didn't like it. There's a couple of animes that I really like that are extremely predictable and extremely pulp, but they are just executed so well that they're really good anyway. But Bleach wasn't one of those.
Well, Bleach is only pulp in terms of pulp anime. I mean, unless you really know the formulas used for anime, it's all right. But I learned the formulas after Bleach.
Yeah. Well, like for instance, Your Lie in April. I don't know if you've seen that one yet. It's a slice of life anime. It's just a story about some people, go in their school years, like a lot of animes. But it is so good that it just does not deserve to be associated to any other of those fucking crappy slice of life animes. It is just really, really well executed.
Is that the one with the girl with the, what was it, flute or something like that, or
violin?
Musician? Yeah. That one was actually pretty good. I like that one.
Yep.
I wish I had an audience, a bit of an actual audience today, because I'd love to poll people on something, but we have like 4 viewers and we're running at a stupid hour. But what I've been considering doing is basically doing my edit live and just letting people come in and bullshit while I'm working on it. Because it's going to take me a little bit of a while to go through, and I don't know if anyone would be interested in the process or not, but
it could work. I'll show up for some of them throughout the month at least.
And timing permitted. The problem is this is mostly during the day shit anyway, so I'd just be sitting there, basically rereading the same fucking thing until I get it right is kind of what it would come down to, but
yeah.
I don't know. I figure it'll probably be the most boring fucking hangout ever, but considering doing it just for the kind of hell of it, just basically because if I'm doing it live, then I'm kind of forced to actually keep working on it because I keep putting it off. I don't know. Actually, I should consider winding this down fairly soon. It's like 4 a.m. here.
It's been a very entertaining hangout today, though.
Yeah, we actually had some good conversations earlier. Now we're just kind of winding down to nothingness. Part of that is Prudence not here, so you don't have anyone to argue with. Kidding. Today was not a prudent for Israel day.
I think we only said the word prudent twice before he showed up last time. What the hell's wrong with today?
Well, today he got a proper invite, actually.
That's true.
Yeah, today he actually got an individual invite because he was bored and wanted to know if there were any hangs. We happen to have one. We were still offline at the time, though, I believe.
Yeah.
Because I was still I think I was only 2 out of 8 crashes into figuring out what the fuck's going on with XSplit. Do you have birds?
It's actually not me this time.
I was asking if England was tweeting today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we've got a couple of blackbirds this time of year. They start chirping at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And, they're probably just, back from the morning rounds, just, singing to each other about how, glorious the day is.
Sounds almost like Fabio's in the room. Him and those goddamn birds that bring him breakfast every day. Actually, since we moved, we have, of course, we have birds out just across the way, but they're mostly ducks. We have like one goose that's out there, and we'll get like pigeons and this and that. But mostly, we have to deal with the ducks every fucking morning because every morning they go out looking for whether it be food or whatever, and they get as far as 2 doors down and then just kind of stop. So every morning the wife gets up to go to work, and she has to contend with the fucking ducks in the street.
Oh, fun.
They'll just kind of meandering in the street, and we have nicknames for most of the ducks now. There's tall duck, there's ugly duck. Ugly duck actually made a friend the other day, which was kind of nice. Ugly duck and their ugly friend.
You sure the ugly duck isn't a swan?
No, the ugly duck is a duck that has this red thing on its beak. It's just an ugly duck.
Okay, by red thing and the association with the word ugly, I'm getting.
It looks like its mama fucked a rooster.
Do you remember Carl Malden?
No.
Streets of San Francisco?
Not ringing a bell right now.
No.
But yeah, the ugly duck has this red thing hanging from its beak. It looks like its mama fucked a rooster.
Oh, yes, I know the ducks you mean.
It's ugly anyway around it. But yeah, the other day there were two of them, and I was so happy to call the wife and go, "Ugly duck made a friend." And she's like, "Aw." There's just one other duck that we call tall duck because it stands straighter than all the others and it's kind of skinny. So we have tall duck and ugly duck. And yeah, there's one that I like though that's mostly black, but when the sun shines on it, the feathers are kind of this really pretty green color.
What's his name? Tasty Duck?
No, I didn't bother to name that one. The goose is just Bitchy Goose. Because the goose is a bitch. The goose is obnoxious. The goose is the one that'll come up to you like, "Feed me, fucker." But yeah, there's a lot of fat ducks, and there's some little baby ones. And baby ducks are actually pretty, the little baby mallards. I swear they have more color around their eyes than anywhere else.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I've been loving the lake. Whenever I'm having a bad day, I'll just go sit out there for a little bit and kind of chill out.
Oh, I don't blame you. I wish we had one that close.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just out the door and about, I don't know, it's like 40 paces to the closest bench.
Yeah, it's like having it in your backyard.
Yeah, but since it's technically a city park, I don't have to actually pay to maintain the fucking thing. There are other people that do that shit for me.
Yeah, doubly nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the old house, because apparently property values are fairly low here and have been going up and up and up, we have all the stupid fucking house hunters. And the old house, we had that shit going on, and I sold the thing for like, I don't know, more than twice, almost 3 times what I fucking paid for it.
Nice.
And we got this one, so I spent like roughly I spent the lion's share of my inheritance on this house, and then got more than half of it back from selling the old one, which was kind of a little piece of junk. But I was getting like 2-3 fucking letters a month at least from people that were like, "Are you selling your house? We'll make you a cash offer." I'm like, "No, you fucking won't." I damn near turned it into a bidding war when I did sell the damn thing. But now after moving, I'm getting even more of them for the new house. I'm like, fuck off. I just fucking moved here like 2 months ago. What the hell?
Go away.
This is the house I was looking for. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Well, it's the lake you were looking for.
Well, technically, yeah. As I said to the realtor, I'm not buying a house. I'm buying a fucking lake.
Yeah.
That was really the point.
These are not the punters you are looking for.
Oh my gosh, though. I mean, it just amazes me. You buy a house and there's people sending fucking letters out. And I can tell that they've actually gone on DCAD and looked up the property. And it's like, okay, because we'll write down the name of the owner and we'll put their name on the letter we send out and customize it at least that much. And I'm like, wait a fucking minute, dipshit. Did you not look to see when it was purchased?
Yeah, right, exactly.
We will make you a cash offer for a house that you bought for cash 2 months ago. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
I don't have a fucking mortgage. It says I own it 100%, dude.
Research, bitch. Research.
Yeah. It's at the point that I'm about ready to start calling them to tell them what dipshits they are. I mean, literally, there was one day that I'm literally moving boxes into the house, and my phone rings, and I answer my little cell phone, and it's somebody wanting to try and offer me money for my house, and I'm like, I'm just moving in. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
How'd they get your cell phone number?
Looked it up. That you find the name on DCAD, you find the name of the person that owns the property, you look it up in a fucking phone book.
You have your cell phone listed?
I think so. I don't know. Probably.
I mean, like, I can get people's cell phone numbers, but you can't just get them from a damn, like, White Pages list or anything. The cell phones aren't listed in that.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, they managed to get it somehow.
Like, I still have a list of cell phone numbers somewhere in my old archive files here of all the cell phone numbers of every employee of Hi-Res Studios because of a problem I was having with their company, but
I don't know.
I
They
didn't
got it
exactly
regardless.
I didn't exactly get those by looking them up on whitepages.com or anything.
I just thought it was hilarious. I'm like, I'm not even done fucking moving in. I'm like, my third load in. What the fuck? I just bought this house. You think I'm going to sell it to you? What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, even if they were assuming that I had a mortgage at that point, it's like, okay, wait a minute.
I was just about to go there. One of the things that cracks me up is the frequency with which we get letters through the door here. Yeah, trying to buy the house or install conservatories and things like that. We're in a block of flats.
Mm-hmm.
So there is nowhere to build a conservatory. Not only that, but it's rented. You'd at least do some research to find out if you were actually able to buy the property before you actually approach the person who's in it.
Aluminum siding. There were so many times living in apartment complexes that I get advertising for companies wanting to install aluminum siding. And I'd always call the number and I'd say, oh, great, I understand that you want to install aluminum siding on my building. I think that'd be great. And they're like, oh, wonderful. Well, where do you live? Where do you live? And I'm like, oh, it's an apartment complex. They're like, you own the apartment complex? I'm like, no. Well, we'd have to talk to the owners. I'm like, then why are you sending me this shit?
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, you want to talk to the owner for us? No, I don't.
No, that's your job.
I just thought that it might be drawn to your attention that you're sending it to unit numbers. What the fuck? Talk about not doing your fucking research. Holy shit. Fucking waste of paper.
Indeed.
Well, on that note, I'm going to drop.
And I am going to be stopping this shit anyway. Have a good one, Brian.
Alrighty, take it easy. Thanks for the chat. Fun as always.
And stop this shit.